being influenced by other art is nothing new. It's not stopping anytime soon. So let's get into something that I think is so interesting and just gives you a little insight on how some of the biggest authors can be influenced. So today I want to talk about specifically a deep dive into the March of the Ents. And I love this whole entire, the scenes in the movie and of course the scenes from the book are so, we don't really get the March of the Ents in the book, but the buildup of it is so good, and you just know what's going on right afterwards when Aragorn, Gandalf, Legolas, and the Rohirrim, they come in and they go to Isengard and they see what's going on. They see how flooded it is, the trees basically, or the Ents basically taking over, and Treebeard is now taking over management. So with that whole storyline, you gotta have some inspiration. The Ents, how important nature is, and of course Tolkien wrote a lot about nature and how nature will take back the earth, basically. Today I want to talk about a few things that I think influenced his writing for the Ents, and I find it super interesting, okay? So let's start out with the Ents in general. Okay, so we have in The Two Towers, in the chapter Treebeard, on page 453, if this is the book that you have, I don't know about other books. I have another edition a few editions of The Two Towers. But I'm not going to look into them right now. But it's in the chapter Treebeard, and Merry and Pippin are first meeting Treebeard, and they're asking him what his name is, all this stuff, and what is he, because, they've never seen an Ent before. Perfect question to ask. So he's saying, yes, Ent is the word, the Ent I am, you might say, in your manner of speaking. Fangorn is my name according to some, Treebeard others make it. Treebeard will do. And throughout this entire storyline with Treebeard in the same chapter, they talk about how Celeborn was warning them about this forest and how there's a lot of deep secrets and just basically the forest is very old, and Celeborn he has some apprehension about it. Yeah, he just doesn't want the Fellowship being mixed up in the forest in case they were going to be victims to those in the forest because of what we see and how they react to people crossing them and people taking the lives of ones that they once knew and all that. And then I want to go into the idea of Treebeard. So I think the idea of a walking tree is super interesting, and we've seen it twice so far that I've looked up before in literature. So the first being in William Shakespeare's works. So if you're familiar with Shakespeare, you of course know his tragedy of Macbeth, and we do get a glimpse of walking woods. Act 4, Scene 1. And in Act 4, Scene 1, one of the apparitions says, "Be lying mettled, proud, and take no care, who chafes, who frets, or where conspires are. Macbeth shall never vanquished be until great Birnam wood to high Dunsinane hill shall come against him." So that is a warning that the trees are going to come to Dunsinane hill, and that's when Macbeth will be dethroned. And as we get to later in the story, the opposing army takes branches from Birnam wood and they cover themselves, and it looks like the trees are walking. So basically, the Birnam wood came to Dunsinane hill. And I find that really funny. It's kind of a nice loophole. And then the next one, the last one I'll talk about, of a walking forest, which is probably so much fun and kind of weird, you wouldn't expect from this, but it's from the Christian Bible. Okay, in 2 Samuel chapter 18, there's King David. King David, a very influential figure, and at this time his son Absalom, who wanted to be king and basically tried to overtake his father, and the endearing part is David still loved his son, and he did not want anybody to kill him because he was the king's son. So they talk about in chapter 18 Absalom's defeat. It is said Israel's army was defeated by David's soldiers, and the slaughter there was vast that day, 20,000 dead. The battle spread over the entire area, and the day the forest claimed more people than the sword. And so it's not really explicitly said. It's not that far off that the trees would have come to life and killed these soldiers. It's literally wouldn't be the craziest thing that happened, even in this entire book of 2 Samuel. there's another thing that I think could be inspiration for, especially in the Two Towers. Let's go back to Tolkien's work in the Two Towers in the chapter of Helm's Deep. The orcs reeled and screamed and cast aside both sword and spear. Like a black smoke, driven by a mounting wind, they fled. Wailing, they passed under the waiting shadow of the trees, and from that shadow none ever came again. Very similar to the soldiers under Absalom, who went into the forest and they were claimed by the forest. So I think there's a little similarity there, and I find that super interesting, with the Two Towers being the most recent of literature texts, and then having Shakespeare, which was written 16th century, early 17th century, because I think he died in like 1604, not sure about that. It was like definitely when King James was on his throne. And then, of course, the Bible, which a lot of people believe was written, myself included, believe that it's written thousands of years ago. You have influence going all the way back thousands of years, and then it gets turned into something else, which in itself is revolutionary literature, and then it gets turned into what many say is the foundation for contemporary fantasy. Basically what I'm saying, there's nothing new under the sun, and if you're influenced by something, take it and roll with it and make it your own, because you never know if it's going to be something revolutionary as this. People can look on your literature and see so many influences, things that influence you all the way down, because of course we know Tolkien was a devout Catholic, and he of course read the Bible and was influenced by many things from the Bible. We see that in the Silmarillion, we see that in Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. It's there. So basically, just feel free to be inspired by other people. Art inspires art. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope this encourages you and inspires you to look on things that just you like throughout different mediums, whether it be books, TV shows, movies, plays, and hope that shapes your writing or whatever it may be. If you like this video, like it. If you have any more influences you think are cool from that Tolkien took a part of that you're like, oh yeah, you totally forgot about this, or maybe this was also an influence on the Ents, whatever it may be, definitely let me know, because I am human and I of course miss a lot of things. So share it in the comments, and subscribe, because subscribing is free, and that would be completely great. And that's it. And I'll see you guys next time, where I will hopefully do another video that doesn't revolve around Lord of the Rings, which I think I do have one down the pipeline. So that's it. And yeah, I got nothing.